guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jess. Today I wanted to talk about 5 types of bags that you'll regret buying in your life. So guys, if you love handbag videos, subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow my channel as per usual. Let's get to I'm already on 20k. Let's get to 30k, guys. Okay, so first bags that I feel like people always say they regret buying is investment bags, such as the Birkin bag, the classic flap, these typical, really famous styles that are very, very expensive. Now, the reason why I call them investment bags is because you have to invest a lot of money into them to have them. And they're bags that people say go up in value over time. They never go out of fashion. They're a great investment, not only financially, but for your wardrobe. And I feel like this is a mistake because, well, a lot of the time it's not true either. If you bought a Birkin bag, 20 years ago and then sold it today, yeah, you'd probably make money. Same with the classic flap. But in this day and age, 2025, guys, Birkins, Kellys, classic flaps are just astronomical prices in the boutique. And if you're going to buy one, you have to commit a lot of money to it. And I don't even know if you're going to get much money back for it. So for example, going into the store, I paid a lot of money for this Birkin and I do love it. I do love collecting handbags and having these aspirational bags, but I will admit I don't wear my Birkin as much as some of my other bags that are a bit more chill. They're still expensive, but not as expensive. A Birkin or Kelly is just a lot of money to put into one bag, right? Over $10,000. These days, to get a Birkin or Kelly, you're spending over $20,000, especially if you want the size 25. And it's just a lot of money for one bag. Now, do I regret buying my Kelly 25 and Birkins and all that? For me, I don't. And I'm sure there's other people out there that are like me that don't regret it either. But if you're somebody who wanted to buy one because people say you should buy one and it's not really your style, you don't really like the casual look of it, it even looks a bit too mature maybe, because I know a lot of people say that Hermes is kind of granny chic, which I think is kind of my style, but it looks a little bit more mature. If you like more trendy bags or something a bit more fun, then honestly going for these very classic silhouettes might not be your cup of tea. And even something like a Chanel classic flap, if you're going to buy it in the store today at $18,000, I'm going to tell you guys, that is not an investment. That is money chucked down the drain if you want to sell it in the future. There's no way you're going to get your money back on that. And the truth is, when people say something is an investment, we don't know how the market is going to go. Okay, maybe, perhaps in 10 years, these Birkins will be worth a lot more. But we don't actually know, especially now, after COVID and all that. We saw how much luxury became popular and so many people went crazy and started buying a lot of these investment bags. But now we're seeing the after effects of that. And now, lately, I feel like people don't have as much disposable income as they did as after COVID, because after COVID people had saved up money that they were going to use to travel that they couldn't use, and we had a lot of revenge shopping after that. Years have gone by now and we're starting to be a little bit more savvy with our money, and I don't think people are as convinced as they used to be that it's worth it to spend over $10,000 on a handbag. So yeah, we don't know if these handbags are investments, guys. They could be, they could go up in value, but we don't know. So I would never buy a bag based on the idea that it's a good investment, because we just don't know. Okay, next thing that I think you might regret buying is bags that you buy just purely based on the hype. So you might, it might not be your style, but maybe you got offered it and it's very rare. For example, recently we had the Murakami collection. I would say that was very hyped and people were really trying to snag that collection, and even there was a queue on the website to get into the website to get it. And a lot of people would have, tried to get their hands on this and feel a thrill of the chase of getting it, but it might not necessarily be your style. I can say the multicolor, it is so cute. I personally love it, but I know a lot of people would buy this and probably would have bought it just purely because of the hype. And it might not be your style. It might be something that you get sick of, because when you get sucked into the hype of something and you buy it just because it's hyped, you're never going to win at that game, because there's always going to be something hype that's coming out and you simply cannot keep up with the hype. Like even Labubu's, Pop Mart, they're extremely hyped today, but we don't know, guys. In a month, they could be completely not hyped at all. So following hype and chasing hype is a never-ending game that you cannot win. So if you're buying something purely based on the hype and because it's hard to get, you might grow tired of it, you know, very shortly, because things are only hyped for a certain amount of time before they become not as popular anymore. And we've seen that several times with different hyped collections from different designers. I know I got sucked into the hype of the Prada Crystal thing a few years ago. It was like really hard to get, really hot, and I got my hands on it. It went on in stock on the website and I bought it because I knew it was hard to get, and I got a bit sucked into the sparkles. But I knew deep down it wasn't really my style, and I was getting sucked into the hype of it, and I did regret that. So let me know, guys, have you ever got sucked into the hype of something because everybody is saying it's the best thing, and you're able to get your hands on it, and have you regretted it? Because, yeah, I don't think you should necessarily buy something just because it's hard to get, because there might become a time where it becomes not hard to get anymore as well. Next thing that you might regret buying is a stinky bag. So, you know, especially I find like if you're into buying secondhand bags, unfortunately, sometimes when you buy a bag, you can come across odors and smell. And this is something that for me is quite a deal breaker. I have bought things on the secondhand market in the past that have had more of a musty smell or a perfume fragrance or something like that. And it can be really off-putting, even if it is an incredible bag. Even I've come across different Kellys on the secondhand market that reek of mothballs, and it just is a real shame because the bag might be stunning, but carrying something that smells like mothballs is really off-putting for me anyway. And I know there are ways you can kind of get rid of the smell. You can use different sprays, baking powder, but there are some bags that it's really hard to get the smell out. And for me, that could be a huge major regret, particularly if you buy a bag from somebody who, you know, smokes a lot of cigarettes and that sort of thing. It can be quite bad. So yeah, unfortunately for me, when I bought a stinky bag, it has been a major regret. So I would try and avoid bags with odor, because it's just, yeah, it can kind of like really permeate your room and it can just make everything stink. Next thing you might regret is the material of the bag. And in particular, suede and patent leather for me are huge regrets, because I remember a few years ago, it was really in fashion to buy suede bags, and the fashion has definitely come back again. But I'd seen a lot of different influencers who had bought like the I think it was the Chloe Faye in the suede, and then there was also the Dionysus in the suede, and a lot of people had experienced that because suede, it picks up dirt a lot easier than other kind of materials. It's really easy to get color transfer. So a lot of these, I noticed a lot of different influencers that had bought these suede bags, and they got all this color transfer on the back of the bag because they'd often wear it with a dark color, and it's really hard to clean. Sometimes if you get color transfer on like a normal leather bag, you can kind of save it, like with a wet wipe, you can kind of get it off. But color transfer on suede is so hard to clean, you guys. So I feel like if you get anything on it, it's just like ruined and it's so annoying. And same as well with patent leather. It is so finicky, especially if you live in a really hot country. It can discolor, it can go weird over time, and it's really hard to preserve the integrity of the leather. You know, color transfer on patent doesn't look too good, and it's really hard to clean. You actually can't clean it. Messed up suede also, it can sometimes look kind of cool, messed up suede, but sometimes, you know, it can be a bit annoying. So sometimes these kinds of more delicate leathers can be regrets as well. And finally, another huge regret for people, and I think this is really personal, it depends on the person, it's heavy bags. Because for me personally, I do have some heavy bags and I do wear them and enjoy them. And I don't actually mind bags that are too heavy personally. Although I will say I did try on a shoulder Birkin the other day and that was a little bit too heavy. I think I would regret buying that. But, you know, I have experienced different people who have told me that they can only carry mini bags because they can't stand the weight of bigger bags. They can only wear wallet on chains. They can only wear really small camera crossbody bags because maybe you have a shoulder problem or you've got some sort of, you know, injury. Maybe you just don't feel as comfortable wearing a heavy bag. You know, you're very active, you like to walk a lot. And buying a heavy bag, like for example, a Birkin 35, which is quite heavy, you might just find you never reach for it because it's just too annoying to carry. And I think that's a major thing at the moment. I know these big bags are back in fashion, like the Celine Smile and yeah, even bigger Birkins, Birkin 40, all that. But you might buy it because it's hot and cool, but find it's just way too annoying to carry around and lug around. And the weight can kind of put indents on your arm and it can be annoying, and you just might find that you're better off buying like a lightweight bag, like a Louis Vuitton canvas bag or a Goyard bag, which is much more comfortable to wear. And I think actually that's why a lot of people also don't like some Hermes bags, because they're quite heavy, and Clements and all that. And I actually had a subby say they bought a Bolide 31 the other day, and they regret it because they found it too heavy, and they tend to come in Clements leather. I actually find this bag not heavy at all, but as I said, sometimes people, they will only go for those really small wallet on chains and like very lightweight canvas bags. And in that case, this would be heavy compared to that. So I think it's good to kind of reflect on yourself and see if you will wear a bag, even if it is heavy. Otherwise, you may indeed regret it. So guys, let me know, what are things that you regret? What are bags that you've regretted in the past, and have they kind of related to some of the things that I've spoken about? Thanks for watching my video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you really soon.